segment is. So the easy way is to look at the root words. What does mid mean? Middle. Segment means you're going to have a segment. So when you put that word together, it's a segment in the middle. And so the definition is a segment connecting the midpoints of the two non-parallel sides of a trapezoid. So if you notice, you're going to notice there's a picture of that. So anyway, so now, if you notice, this blue line is actually the mid-segment. Okay, and if you notice some of the properties of it, notice the two congruent segments here, right here, and the two congruent segments as well. Notice these all four are not congruent. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at this. Three mid-segments conjecture states that the three mid-segments of a triangle divided into four congruent triangles. The three mid-segments of a triangle divided into four congruent triangles. Likewise, the triangle mid-segment conjecture states that a mid-segment of a triangle is parallel to the third side and half the length of the third side. Now that last part of the conjecture is really important. Okay? It's half the length of the third side. Half the length of the third side. So that's really important. You need to file that away to memory. If it's a mid-segment, it's half the length of the third side. Okay? So, half the length of the third side. Now, what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to go ahead and now look at the trapezoid mid-segment conjecture. And so the trapezoid mid-segment conjecture states that the mid-segment of a trapezoid is the average of the length of the bases. So first of all, it's parallel to the bases, and it's equal in length to the average of the lengths of the bases. So I'll let you get that down, and then we'll go ahead and look at some examples, and you'll see that this is a pretty easy thing. So the average of the lengths of the bases basically means you need to add the bases up and divide by 2. Perfect. That's all you're doing. You're finding the average between the bases. So let's go and look at an example. Oops, sorry. The first one we're going to look at is a triangle. Okay. It says find the values of m and x. And so if you look, I can see right here that m is actually the length of the mid-segment. Why is it the length of the mid-segment? Because I notice that this segment and this segment is the same. I also notice that this segment and this segment is the same. Therefore, it's in the middle. Okay, it's the mid-segment. And so, if you remember, the relation between the mid-segment and the third side is that the mid-segment is half the length of the third side. So, x equals 13 divided by 2. Now you know I'll accept that. Okay, I would also accept 6.5. Okay, but 13 halves, you're done. Questions? So far pretty easy? Now we got to find what m is. M is referring to this angle right here. Somebody guess what m is? 72. The reason is, remember, the definition of a mid-segment is that it is parallel to the base. So I have two parallel lines. What do I know about 72 and m? What type of... They are not alternate. It starts with a C.
Corresponding.
Corresponding angles. And so as a result, corresponding angles are the same. Okay, so that is 72 degrees as well. Okay. All right, so some things we're going to have to recall is the deal from parallel lines. And so the last one we're going to look at is this example right here. It says find the values of y, b, and c. So let's start with y. Okay, first of all, what do I know about the 9 centimeters here? What is this?
It's the average.
The mid-segment, right? And it's the average of 12 and y. Okay, so it's halfway in between 12 and y. So there's two ways to do this. One, I could write a formula out. Okay, and I could solve the formula and go from there, or I could just look and see, from 12 to 9, what do you do?
Subtract 3.
Subtract 3. So to go to y, I'm going to have to subtract 3. Right? So what does y have to equal? 6 centimeters. There you go. Don't forget your label. Okay, let's look at angles now. 58 degrees. And C, what do you know about those two angles? They are corresponding angles, which means they are? Which means C is?
58.
Nice job. Now I've got to figure out what B is. Okay, how'd you get 122? You're right. Okay, if you remember, these are actually parallel lines, and B and C are same side interior angles. Same side interior angles were supplementary, which means they add to 180. So that means that B plus C here have to add to 180 degrees. I already have 58 degrees. So B has to be 122. Okay, so you're going to have to recall a lot of the stuff we've already learned in order to find some of these angles. Okay, your lesson is pretty short. It's on pages 277 through 278. I need you to do 1 through 8, and this is due tomorrow. Okay, 1 through 8, and this is due tomorrow.